Okay, so hopefully I caught what I wanted to catch. Simply because, where I am at, this is the Bashes at Power McDowell. Can't really see the sign very well. But this is Bashes at Power McDowell here in Mesa, which is the far northeast part of Mesa. Well, Mesa still goes on for like several more miles to the east, but looking around this plaza, except for a pallet swap, there's a lot of businesses that are here now that were here back in 2005. I mean, driving in, Red, White, and Brew down over there, they're still around. Hopefully their quality is still the same. There's still an Ace Hardware there, and a Leslie's Pool Supply, and a Subway, and pretty sure that's still the same dentist office that was here back then. Probably is. Power Postal still there, and Big Five Sporting Goods is still here down at that end of the plaza by Power. Fantastic Sam's. I mean, like, one of the bigger differences I noticed is that Keller Williams isn't here anymore, but that's because of what would happen, after 2005. But after leaving Sears in, October, I think, of 2005, I got a job at the bank that I work at now, and what I was wanting to catch was my original branch where I was hired, now shut down. They closed at noon on Wednesday, August the 16th. I actually received a letter about it because that was where my accounts were opened, was at that location, and because my accounts were housed at the Power McDowell branch, as a customer, not as an employee, but as a customer, I received a letter from the bank informing me of the branch closing and that the accounts would be transferred to the Red Mountain Ranch branch, which is just across the intersection down over there, because over there is where Power and McDowell meet. There's an Albertsons over there, and there's a traditional branch across the street from there, which a traditional branch would be a branch that is freestanding, basically. Usually they have a drive-through. What people think, I want to go to the bank and take out a loan, or I want to go to a bank and open accounts, they usually think of those traditional branches first before they thought of us in-store branches, because apparently us in-store branches are play banks. You want to take out $20 to go grocery shopping? Go to the play bank. So I'm just leaving the handicap spot so somebody else can have it. But I mean, what's over there? Nectar. Okay, that used to be Tropical Smoothie Cafe. So I haven't really seen very many of those anymore. Ew, there's a Chipotle there. I don't know if that was there before. It looks like Golden Spoon frozen yogurt is long gone. The guy who opened that frozen yogurt shop had also been a bank customer, I think both personally and for his business. He moved here from California to open Golden Spoon, which is a California chain, and I think he did reach his goal of opening like 10 stores, but I don't know, maybe it could have just been the increasing competition among frozen yogurt that caused it to fail, or what, because other places like Yogurtland came along, and I've seen different frozen yogurt shops. It's also possible it's just people. Well, no, I guess people are probably more interested in frozen yogurt, health-wise, even though you're still pretty much eating ice cream, just with yogurt cultures, is what it seems like. I mean, I really can't eat very much of it myself because it's practically ice cream for a diabetic. So, but yeah, he opened his first location across the street there, and opened multiple locations, and I've seen them disappear. Um, and actually, some of these businesses around here do bank with us, and or at least they did at the time. I don't know if they still do. Their employees bank with us, or even if they didn't have accounts, maybe they were a regular to us because they would come to cash their check with us every payday. Funny thing is one time there was an employee at one of these businesses here. His employer didn't bank with us, but he did for his own personal accounts, and we would see him every week. Even though he was getting change for his business, I mean, we still gave him the change. It didn't matter to us. We weren't sticklers for whether somebody was a customer of ours or not, really, but with certain things like change. But at some point we stopped seeing him, and the funny thing is one time on TV I saw a commercial for one of those, like DUI law firms, or just like law firms that handle DUI cases and stuff like that, and that particular customer was a testimonial on that commercial that aired. So I guess we have an idea as to what happened, because I can't imagine if he still even worked for the same for the same businesses by that point. But yeah, 2005, December 3rd, 2005 was my first official day with the bank, and I was hired to be a 40-hour teller at the branch in here, because this in-store branch had a problem with turnover, and in fact, pretty much as I was starting, one of the other tellers who was there part-time, who was an older woman, had given her 2 weeks notice because she just had a hard time when it came to technology. Everything is done on computers now, and you have to know where to go to do certain things, because you may have to juggle between multiple systems to help a customer. Because everybody has different needs and needs different information, and they need different things done for them. One funny experience, this store, they told me, was remodeled like in 98 or something like that. Or no, this plaza was all built in 98. Supposedly the store may have been remodeled by the time I was hired, but the store looked dated at the time, and what you saw in there, from what you could see from me holding my phone, discreetly on my side, is that this store did finally remodel at some point, but the old version of the store had like white walls, and there was copper lettering on the walls for like the dairy or whatever, and the floors were that sort of white vinyl flooring. I mean, it looked really dated in 2005. But a construction defect was detected. So I'm trying to see through my dark goggles here, but right around there was where the bank was located, my branch. And if you know what a cow tongue is, that is where when it rains and the water gathers on the roof, it drains and it goes down a drain pipe. And at the bottom, usually these pipes I guess they can be built into the side of the building, but they can be built on the side of columns, because this store has columns in front of it. But where that pipe leads out, you usually have like a sort of concrete slab right below it that is shaped to help funnel the rainwater away from the pipe onto the, into the landscaping. That's a cow tongue. And they discovered from our monsoon rains in the summer that the cow tongue was not connected properly. These roofs are, kind of flat, and they have basins built into the design of the roof, so that way when it rains, the water can drain away from the center of the roof, and where the weight of it could cause a collapse. And it's supposed to drain into these basins, and the water then gets carried away by draining through the pipe and onto the cow tongue below. Well, in our branch, when it rains, we would always hear this annoying dripping sound, and it was because there was a leak in the ceiling above us. And if you were to look up at the ceiling tile, you would see this sort of little brown water stain from the water dripping. And the funny thing is every so often we'd have to have the ceiling tile replaced because we had a drop ceiling. And I came in one morning to find a wet, mushy mess of ceiling tile on the floor and on the part of the back counter that was kind of like the service manager's desk, because the water had collected into, it had waterlogged the tiles so bad that it just collapsed, at sometime after hours. And luckily, it happened overnight while we were gone, but, we had to have it cleaned up, and Corporate Properties had to bring new ceiling tiles to replace the one that had collapsed and fallen onto the floor below. And as it turns out, when they built this Basha store, they didn't connect the pipe that's supposed to drain that little basin right above our branch. And that is why we were seeing the water drip, and why it eventually just got so bad that it collapsed. So they had to go in and fix that and create a way for the water to drain out of that basin, because otherwise it would just keep happening. There was no Starbucks in there back when I worked in here, by the way. There's probably still the freestanding Starbucks out in the parking lot because it has a drive-thru and stuff. But I mean, a lot of the tenants are relatively the same here from when I worked here. Well, except for, again, like, this used to be a Keller Williams, and, they're obviously gone because, the whole crisis that happened in the mid to late 2000s with mortgage and lending. We used to actually order lunch from this Red, White, and Brew. I don't know about now, but at least at the time it was really good. We loved the pizza, and sometimes me and another teller would split the hamburger and the fries because it was pretty big. This building here used to be a Washington Mutual, but obviously they are long gone. There's another Chase nearby that is traditional. But I remember Washington Mutual getting robbed one time when I was on PTO, so luckily I didn't have to deal with that. Oh, yep, Starbucks is still here because this is their drive-thru, and I just saw the logo. But I mean, this is a pretty nice area that we're in, pretty safe. So thankfully it's not like we were in a rough part of town, because we didn't have to deal with any like bandit barriers. Oh, this Bank of America ATM is new. That wasn't here when I worked here. Summertime, especially, well, right now you'll probably still see it on the weekends because school's back in session, but this parking lot was always a popular meeting place for people going to the river and the lake nearby. So you'd see, boats hauling trailers and lots of shirtless guys and girls in bathing suits and shorts. There's Loop 202 freeway. You know, and they're coming in to buy their soft drinks and their beer and all that. And it would just make the parking lot a lot busier, and the store would be busier. I mean, they'd have to bring in like the extra styrofoam coolers and all that. I figure why not drive a little bit into the area nearby here. Now this is Power Road. If you take it back the other way to the north, then you actually leave town onto a 2-lane road, the Bush Highway, and you'll meet up with the Beeline Highway, and it's a way to, that Pet Club used to be a Blockbuster, by the way. It was how you got to, from this part of Mesa, if you wanted to get up to the Beeline Highway to go to Fort McDowell Casino, or to go north to Payson and the mountains, the pine trees, because that's just north of here. I mean, you're within an hour's drive from here, you are in pines and mountains. Here are desert mountains around here. This is McDowell Road, and I see they are building over there apartments, or, well, I see elevators. Well, no, those are probably stairwells. But I don't know, they're building apartments or whatever there. Condos? When I lived at Ellsworth and Southern, I used to go, this is one way I used to take to get home from work, because when you work at a bank, you're supposed to take more than one way home, just so that way you just don't want it to be predictable which way you're going to go home, because there have been robberies where they followed bank employees home, you know, and it's just a dangerous situation. But you probably can't tell on my phone here, but we are actually going up a grade. It's not like a steep grade, so you know, it's not that noticeable, but we are going higher. And you can see some of the people that own their property here have left the desert untouched and stuff. That's clearly new. Well, a lot of these houses are less than 15 years old, I would think. I don't know, maybe I'll turn around and go the other way so you can kind of see the height difference. But we're still in Mesa, by the way. This is still a city. This is just a more underdeveloped road part of the city, I guess. You know, they kind of just had to get the road out here to get it out here for the growth that we had beginning in the 90s. And that where you see that hill up ahead, or butte, or whatever that is, that's more or less where Ellsworth is located, kind of around there. Which Ellsworth is how you get to the Mesa Usury Park, which is a desert park. They have a shooting range and stuff like that out there, I believe. And a short and easy hike is the Wind Cave. I believe that's what's over there. Sparkly. That was Hollywood Road we actually passed on that 4-way stop. But if you want to, if you ever want to move to Arizona and have these desert views, you could probably do that. You know, this part of Mesa is where you've got mountains that are fairly close as part of your view. So even if you're not on the very edge of things, at least you can still have mountains in your view, like this, with saguaro cacti, because the saguaro only grows in this desert, the Sonoran Desert. And for every arm you see on the saguaro, I hear it's like 10 years of its life. So some of these cactus are, a good 50 to 60 years old. So this here is Ellsworth Road. And that is the Mesa Usury Park right there. That's the entrance to it. See, if I only point the phone to the right, you wouldn't know we were in a city. You'd think we're out on a highway somewhere, but we are not. We are still in Mesa. Still Mesa. The only way out of Mesa right now with this road is just to go north with the way we came through the park, which the Usury Park Road does intersect with Bush Highway. So if you live even further east of Power Road, then that's another way you can go, is via Ellsworth through the Usury Park. And then this here is McKelv's Road, which they built more since I last was in this area. Because none of these houses were here before. This was all just empty land 10 years ago. Oh wow, that's different. There's a bridge up there. That definitely was not here before either. I also wanted to kind of drive through that neighborhood to see where this bridge connects. You don't normally see that. You don't normally see a private street crossing over a bridge, over a public street like that. So yeah, I bet these are expensive houses, judging by the size. Well, I say expensive, but for many of you who are watching this video, you're probably not in Arizona. You probably live in other states where it's more expensive to live, because the cost of living in Arizona is a lot cheaper. But yeah, maybe those houses over there are probably towards like the 200,000 range. I mean, if you live in California and you have to move to Arizona, you'll find that you can get a house that's like twice the size of what you had in California, and you're probably paying half of what you're paying in California. And your house is going to get rattled apart by earthquakes and buried under mudslides and burned to the ground. Like over in California. So, and then we're back to untouched desert land on the left. So again, you probably wouldn't know you were still in a city if you look at the left side of the road, but you look at the right side of the road and it's like, okay, yeah, this is a city or a town. And then this is the Loop 202 freeway. We're reaching that again. I remember when they were building this part of the freeway, there were a couple of times where the workers, I don't know if they cut the power on purpose or on accident, but there were a couple of times where we lost power at the branch because of the construction of this section of the freeway. And, well, luckily for us, we don't actually remain open at the in-store branch when there's a power outage because the store closes down. They have to close their entrance to deter shoplifting. But the traditional branches, if there's a power outage, they still have to keep operating somehow, and they do everything on paper, which, would suck. When they built this section of the freeway, McKellips and Brown Road, instead of having traffic lights, they have roundabouts. And there are some other freeways where you see that, like I-17 and Deer Valley Road and Happy Valley Road, I think may have them. And so it's just a way of moving the traffic through, and they also, well, I'd say the roundabouts in Wickenburg are a godsend, just because you can get from Highway US 60 to US 93 if you're going to Laughlin and Vegas, and it's just easier because you don't have to go to that T intersection, the old T intersection, like you did before in downtown Wickenburg, and have to deal with slower traffic. You just go through the roundabout and divert onto the new US 93 along the Hassayampa River, and it's just quicker. And then you saw those new houses back there, and we're getting into an area where you're going to start to see older houses, built in the 80s or before. I mean, the houses here on the right date back to the 70s and maybe even the 60s too. So Mesa's a very weird mix of old and new houses. But hopefully you enjoyed reminiscing with me about my old branch days. I haven't worked in a branch in so long. And hopefully you enjoy looking at this part of Mesa with the desert.